We are following some breaking news on multiple fronts tonight, including at the Supreme Court, where special counsel Jack Smith has just responded to Donald Trump's latest effort to delay his federal criminal trial. For months now, Smith's federal election interference trial has been put on hold while the courts consider Donald Trump's claim that as former president, he should be absolutely immune from any and all criminal charges. Now, last week, a federal appeals court unanimously rejected that argument. Trump subsequently appealed that decision to the Supreme Court, and tonight, the special counsel is making an impassioned plea to the 9 justices of the High Court, urging them not to let Trump delay this matter any longer. In a new filing this evening, Smith writes, "The charged crimes strike at the heart of our democracy. The public interest in a prompt trial is at its zenith, where, as here, a former president is charged with conspiring to subvert the electoral process so that he could remain in office." Smith continues, "The nation has a compelling interest in the prompt resolution of this case. In all criminal cases, delay can be fatal to achieving just outcomes. Delay in the resolution of these charges threatens to frustrate the public interest in a speedy and fair verdict, a compelling interest in every criminal case and one that has unique national importance here. Trump's personal interest in postponing trial proceedings must be weighed against 2 powerful, countervailing considerations: the government's interest in fully presenting its case without undue delay, and the public's compelling interest in a prompt disposition of the case." Essentially, the special counsel is saying that the public deserves to see this trial happen and see it quickly. Delays can be fatal in any trial, and in this trial of a former president charged with felonies related to the subversion of American democracy, well, the stakes are simply too high to drag this on much longer. And then special counsel Jack Smith lays out his requests. First, he wants the government to reject Trump's request to continue pushing off the federal trial. Special counsel wants the court to end all the delays and to decline to hear Trump's appeal at all. Now, you may recall that last year, when Trump first started pushing this presidential immunity claim, Jack Smith urged the Supreme Court to take that matter up right away. He asked to basically leapfrog the appeals court process and take the question of presidential immunity right to the Supreme Court, essentially to settle this matter as quickly as possible. And the Supreme Court said, "Nope, sorry, Mr. Smith, we don't want to hear this case right now." Well, in his filing today, the special counsel reminded the justices of that decision, writing, "To the extent that that denial reflects that this court is not inclined to review Trump's claim, no reason for a stay exists. And the court is better situated to assess that question now that the Court of Appeals has thoroughly analyzed and rejected applicants' immunity claim." In other words, dear Supreme Court justices, you did not want to hear this case before. And if that was because you thought Trump's arguments were bogus, just say so. And let's get on with the trial, especially now that you have an appeals court that has said in no uncertain terms that Trump's arguments were bogus. But also in tonight's filing, the special counsel offers the Supreme Court a second opinion if they don't like the first. He says, if you do want to hear this case, Supreme Court, then please do it as quickly as possible. Smith writes, if this court believes that Trump's claim merits review at this time, the government respectfully requests that it set the case for expedited briefing and argument. The government proposes a schedule that would permit argument in March 2024, consistent with the court's expedition of other cases meriting such treatment. Translation, if you're going to hear this case, you should hear it next month. The special counsel even goes on to suggest a detailed schedule going forward. He suggests Trump get 10 days to file his arguments with the court. The special counsel could then get a week to respond, and Trump could get 5 days to respond again. Special counsel is basically saying, let's get all this paperwork done in about 3 weeks, huh? It is abundantly clear from this filing tonight that special counsel Jack Smith is really, really eager to get this case going. Now, the question is, will the Supreme Court listen? Joining me now is Christy Greenberg, a former federal prosecutor who served for over a decade in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Also joining me is Mark Joseph Stern, a senior writer for Slate covering the courts and the law. Thank you both for being here tonight. Mark, first, I would love to get your opinion. I hear a quiet note of desperation in this filing. Am I wrong to hear that? I mean, is this the sort of normal course of events when you're dealing with a high-stakes, federal election interference case featuring a former president?
So there's certainly a little bit of desperation, but the main note that I detected here was urgency, but also a sense that I think Jack Smith's team was trying to get across, that these are trustworthy attorneys and that they are making these arguments in good faith and that they are the ones who deserve that presumption of good faith. They aren't rushing this. It's Trump's side that's trying to run out the clock. And I'll note, one of the signatories on this filing was Michael Dreeben. He was a deputy solicitor general for decades. He argued more than 100 cases before the Supreme Court. He's friends with Chief Justice John Roberts. And I think that by sort of centering his style, his prose style, and making it clear this is a Michael Dreeben brief, Jack Smith's team is trying to tell the court, hey, we're people that you trust. We are telling you the truth here. And so maybe we sound a little desperate. Maybe we sound very urgent. But what we really want is to ensure that justice be done here. And you should trust us more than the other side because we have put all our cards on the table and we deserve your presumption of good faith.
Christy, the Supreme Court justices have a conference on Friday. Jack Smith had until the 20th, but he filed early. Do you think that the justices might make a call on this week?
So I don't think it will come as soon as that. I do think that they are going to give Donald Trump and his attorneys an opportunity to reply. The rules about whether or not, what the timing is on a reply are not all that clear. I expect his lawyers would reach out to the clerk, maybe get some informal guidance about timing of a reply. We're not talking weeks here. I think we're talking more like days. And I think they will give him the opportunity to do that before they rule. But I still expect that we will get a ruling sometime, I would say, later next week.